You're watching CBS 42 College Football Saturday Postgame, presented by Pepsi.
Play action, Jones to the end zone. Touchdown, Devontae Smith. That might seal it, and that might be your Heisman Trophy winner.
The only question to that statement is who is going to win the Heisman Trophy. Devontae Smith and Mac Jones have been the most lethal combination in college football all year, and why not in the biggest moment of the season when you got a one-score game from the Florida Gators? They had all the momentum. What happens? Those two connect one more time. It seals the deal for Alabama, and Nick Saban afterwards knew how special this was for the fans.
For all those fans up there, roll Tide. Thank you for your support, man. Thank you.
Final score here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Alabama 52, Florida 46 in an SEC title game we will not forget anytime soon. Welcome into our post-game show. I'm Chris Brees, live at Mercedes-Benz Stadium here in Atlanta. We are going to bring you Nick Saban's live press conference momentarily as soon as it comes up. What a season 2020 has been. The most unique year we have ever seen in college football. And dare we say, the most unique team Alabama has ever had. This offense, as good as we've ever seen. And this defense, yeah, they gave up a lot of points tonight, but they stood tough when it mattered most. They get the victory over Florida, their 9th SEC title. Now the fun part begins. You start to speculate about the college football playoff. But Nick Saban, after the game, knew he wanted to cherish this one just for 24 hours at least.
They're a very challenging team, and we certainly didn't match up with them, and that was my concern going in. But got to give our team a lot of credit. Offense responded every time they needed to so that we could stay ahead in the game. Special teams made the plays they need to make at the end of the game. So it's a great team win. We knew it'd have to be this way. So I'm excited for our players. I'm excited for our fans. You know, it's something significant to me to win the SEC championship. Florida's got a great team, and we knew it'd be a tough game, and it's probably good for us to be in a dogfight.
Again, we are going to bring you Nick Saban's live press conference after the game as soon as it comes up. But for now, I want to go back to our Birmingham studios. Simone Eli, Drew Carter, you guys are there live. We have a lot to unpack. Records were set in this game. They were set for Alabama's entire program. What a night by so many players on both sides of the ball.
Brees, it really was. When you look at this offense, 98 points scored in this game. I mean, it has been a minute since almost 100 points have been scored in an SEC title game, and we knew it was going to be crazy between these two incredible offenses and quarterbacks.
Yeah, second highest scoring SEC championship ever, Simone. We've seen maybe 5 of the best offensive players in the country in this game on the field. Tonight, luckily, they were all healthy, ready for action. Let's go to the highlights and see how it went down in Atlanta. Mercedes-Benz Stadium is the site of the 10th SEC championship meeting between Bama and Florida. That's what's on the line. Saban in search of his 9th SEC title and 7th with Alabama, but he's got to deal with this Gators offense. Kyle Trask, Kadarius Toney, the Alabama native, 51-yard touchdown.
Yeah, Kyle Trask, we knew he was going to be dangerous. The receiver that gets behind the Alabama secondary for a quick touchdown.
And this is a crazy play on Alabama's next drive. Keep in mind, they already have a touchdown, but yes, count them, two changes of possession on that same play. Trey Dean rips it away from Miller Forrestall, but then John Mechie lays the boom.
John Mechie could literally play a middle linebacker for Alabama. That's one of the hardest things I've seen all season.
That was a phenomenal hit, sets up this very next play. Now, Devontae Smith recovered that fumble, reward him with a 31-yard touchdown, his 39th career touchdown, plus the little air guitar.
Yeah, and Drew, we came into this game talking about Mac or Devontae Smith for Heisman. Well, then Najee said, hold on a minute, put some respect on my name, because here he is, unbelievable. 4 touchdowns just in the first half.
Right, we have now entered the Najee Harris receiving touchdown portion of the highlight. He scored the first touchdown on the ground, then 1, 2, and 3 receiving scores. All of these still in the first half, and Alabama's putting it on them.
Yeah, but credit Florida, because Dan Mullen went into halftime and said, guys, we're not going down yet. They came out, the defense made 2 stops, And then Kyle Trask yet again.
Yeah, that's Trayvon Grimes, another 50-yard touchdown for the Gators. That's just about 90 seconds into the second half. Yeah, look out, Pete Golding. He's getting the chewing out from Nick Saban. But then the defense starts to wake up a little bit.
Yeah,
here.
Will Anderson here with the strip on Trask, and then Tim Smith jumps on it. Two true freshmen combining to make the play. That's great for the young guys getting it done on defense.
And great for the future of the Bama defense, but this night was about the offense for Alabama. Devontae Smith, by the way, on a night where Najee Harris was the MVP with 5 touchdowns, he had 15 catches in this game, which is a new single-game Alabama record. They continue to fall. Final score 52-46. It was close, Simone.
It was. It really was close. Florida with even a minute to potentially win the game at the end, but Alabama gets it done. A perfect 11-0 season from Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide. 52-46, the final in Atlanta.
So Alabama is the SEC champion. We've got plenty more to come on our SEC championship post-game show here on College Football Saturday. As soon as Nick Saban steps up to the podium, we will take you there live. Plus, the SEC 10-game season officially over, but there were a few other games still to be played across the league, including one featuring the SEC's third playoff contender. Highlights coming up next, but first, tonight's player spotlight and player of the game. This one was easy, folks. It's Najee Harris. He made history on Alabama's first possession. He broke their career touchdown rushing record with his 8-yard score. That'd be a good night for anyone. They gave him 43 career rushing touchdowns. Then he tacked on, 4 more scores. He surpassed Derrick Henry and Mark Ingram. They were tied for the program lead with 42 each. Plenty more to come. We will be right back after this.
CBS 42's Drive of the Game is powered by Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealers today. Toyota, let's go places.
Back here on the postgame show, our Drive of the Game comes midway through the fourth. After a Florida touchdown to make it 45-38, the Tide needed an answer, and they would get it. Najee Harris with 2 long runs to get Alabama into scoring range. Then Jones to Smith. An incredible setup. Once again, 2 of the Heisman frontrunners. Check it out right here. Mac Jones connects with Devontae Smith to pretty much seal the deal in Atlanta. Now tonight was the 10th meeting between the Tide and Gators in the SEC championship game. We're going to break them all down for you. In the first meeting here, it was in Birmingham, if you'll believe it, back at Legion Field when the title game was played there in 1991. An Alabama win. Of course, Gene Stallings and the Tide would go on to win the national championship game that next year. But the next 3 meetings, 93, 94, 96, would all go to the Gators and, of course, Steve Spurrier. Stallings retired after the 96 season. Jump ahead to 99. A blowout goes to Bama, then Nick Saban and Urban Meyer. Nick Saban is currently up at the podium.
We're going to listen to him now. Things happening, and the resiliency that our team has shown, throughout the season to win 11 games is, pretty phenomenal. I think it speaks to the togetherness on the team. Everybody sort of buying in and trying to do the things that they needed to do to contribute to the team. The game tonight was we found a way to win. I knew it was going to be a tough matchup with Florida because of number 84 and number 1 are really, really good players and tough guys to cover, and to be able to score was huge because it kept us. We stayed 2 scores ahead in the game until the end of the game. So that was critical against a good Florida offensive team.
All right, Coach, that's all the questions we have for you.
So Nick Saban gets another win at Alabama over Florida in the SEC title game. This one a little bit different than years past because the offensive output has been incredible for the Tide. We're going to go back out to Atlanta now where Sports Director Chris Brees is. And Chris, an unbelievable offensive game again from the Tide, but it could have been potentially even better if they had one of their star players who they lost a few weeks back.
Yeah, and we know one thing about college football these days, Simone, is offense comes at a premium. And if you're not scoring at will, you're not going to win a national title. As of tonight, you heard it from Nick Saban, Jalen Waddle might be the least of Alabama's concerns. Star center Landon Dickerson, he is the glue of that offense. Well, he now has a serious knee injury, and we do not know what his status will be for the playoff. Now, how about Jalen Waddle? We did get the update from Nick Saban just recently. Jalen Waddle, they're hoping that he can be back sometime for the playoff, but we're not exactly sure. Yeah, it's nice to see him walking around here today without that boot, He got injured back in the Tennessee game, a severe ankle injury. Everybody said that he would not play at all this year. No way. Well, that's an encouraging sign right there, but I want you to pump the brakes because he is not anywhere close to being in game shape, and Nick Saban says it all the time. If a guy's 70% and he cannot give you exactly what you need, they are not going to put him out there. So just because you see Jalen Waddle walking around just fine right there does not mean he's going to go out there and score touchdowns in the semifinal game on January 1st. It is what it is. Alabama will probably have to do without Jalen Waddle, but again, Drew, crazier things have happened.
That's right, Chris, and the offense still looks pretty good without him. Now, the SEC's experiment with a 10-game conference-only schedule was a success for the most part. 69 of 71 league games, including the championship, were played. Both division champs, Alabama and Florida, played all of their games, and here at home, the Iron Bowl was played for the 72nd consecutive season. Some pretty amazing stats considering where we were back in the summer, and for the first time ever, we had more than one SEC game on Championship Saturday. 3 other games were played today. Let's start with Texas A&M, home for Tennessee in College Station. This game scheduled for more than a month ago. Vols were up a touchdown early, but here's Kellen Mond, the rushing touchdown in the mid-first quarter. Mond can beat you with the legs. He can beat you with the arms, as he does hang on just as he crosses the plane for a Texas A&M team that is in the college football playoff conversation. But Tennessee keeps it tight. J.T. Strout, their second different quarterback to throw a touchdown in this game. 46 yards there to Cedric Tillman. And then you live with Mond and you die with Mond sometimes. That time he's picked off by Alontae Taylor. 42-yard return after he picks it up in the end zone. But the Aggies, they do survive. Aniyah Smith with a 1-yard plunge that puts it on ice. Now, in the history of the playoff format, every single one-loss SEC team has made the playoffs, something to keep in mind as we head into Selection Sunday tomorrow. The other 2 games today, Ole Miss drops a tight one against LSU. How about the Tigers flourish to end the season? 53-48. The Rebels are the first team ever to score at least 48 points against both LSU and Alabama in the same season. They lost both. Also, Missouri 32, Mississippi State 51, a good start and a good finish for the Bulldogs this season. As for the middle part, not so much. They want to forget about that. All right, coming up next, all the games today that will determine tomorrow's college football playoff announcement and the teams that we think should play for a national championship. Stick with us.
You're watching CBS 42 College Football Saturday Postgame, presented by Pepsi.
We got a little college football breaking news tonight. The college football playoff semifinal, initially scheduled to be played at the Rose Bowl, will be moved to AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. It will still be played on New Year's Day. Now, Playoff Executive Director Bill Hancock says CFP Management Committee and the Tournament of Roses mutually agreed to relocate the game because of the growing number of COVID-19 cases in Southern California. That'll make a couple of coaches happy. Now, here's how the playoff rankings looked entering tonight. Only one game today on this screen where 2 of these teams matched up, but you see the rest of them, Alabama, Ohio State, we know they took care of business. Let's see what happened down in Charlotte in the ACC Championship with Notre Dame and Clemson, a top 3 showdown. Ian Book was so good in the regular season when they beat Clemson. Did not have to outduel that guy, though. Trevor Lawrence did struggle early against that vaunted Irish defense. First possession for the Tigers, his pass deflected over the middle. Picked by Kyle Hamilton, it's Drew White who gets the assist with that tip. Great field position for Notre Dame, easy points, right? Jonathan Dorr misses the bunny. Brian Kelly says, oh no. Dabo says, oh yes. Not even a minute later, it's Lawrence making up for that interception. Hits Amari Rodgers for the 67-yard touchdown. Jets fans just salivating with that bullet from Lawrence. It is 24-3 after the first quarter for Clemson. Late second, Lawrence, he's got the arm, we know that. He's got the legs too. He keeps it, goes 34 yards to the house. The Empire strikes back in the sequel for this one. Clemson crushes Notre Dame 34-10 in the ACC Championship. Let's go to another Power 5 conference, the Big Ten, playing in Indianapolis. Even just 5 games in the regular season for Ohio State. Still maybe win and you're in. There was a Heisman moment for the Buckeyes in this game, but maybe not for the guy you would expect out of the backfield. That's the highlight of the day, maybe in any game for Northwestern. How about the interception for the Cats? Brandon Joseph, 6th pick of the year for the freshman, leads all players. More of the same for Fields in the second half. They didn't score a touchdown in the first half. That's their first drive in the second, and Ryan Day says, you've got to be kidding me. 2 picks for his quarterback, Cameron Mitchell, with the last one. But for Ohio State, if you can't throw it, keep it on the ground. Trey Sermon, 64 yards on this play. He set a bunch of records for the Buckeyes in this game, went over 300 yards for the day, Big Ten Championship MVP, and it was not even close. 331 yards to be exact, most ever in a single game for the Buckeyes. Breaks a record by some guy named Eddie George, and Ohio State does pull away. They win a tight one against Northwestern. All right, Big 12 Championship. Number 10, Oklahoma. Number 6, Iowa State. The Cyclones, they're knocking on that college football playoff top 4 if a few things do break their way. Spencer Rattler, not today, though. The freshman did just enough through the air, 272 yards and a score. That touchdown to Marvin Mims. Believe it or not, it was actually the Sooners' defense that won this one. Here's Brock Purdy from Iowa State down the stretch. The Cyclones a chance. This is the game clincher with the Cyclones driving with under 2 minutes to go. Oklahoma continues to own the Big 12. They win their 6th straight Big 12 championship. Their previous 5 conference titles led to 4 trips to the college football playoff. They are 0-4 in those games, though. On to the Pac-12 championship played last night. Southern Cal with a slim outside shot at the playoffs. They'll need a lot to go their way if they win this game. Unfortunately, their fill-in opponent, Oregon, was not playing nice. They don't want USC to go to the playoff. Ducks Tyler Shuck with a 14-yard pass to the tight end Hunter Kampmoyer for 6. Oregon leads by 14 early. Then it's USC's Keaton Slovis trying to turn things around. 47-yard bomb to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Just about all Slovis did on the night, though. He threw 3 picks. Ducks have an answer for that last touchdown. Another touchdown pass, and the Ducks, despite not even winning their division, somehow end up winning the Pac-12 championship 31-24 over the Trojans. Let that confetti fall. All right, a group of 5 team has never made the playoff. Could this be the year? Cincinnati is 8-0, home for Tulsa in the AAC championship. They say Fords run well in the rain. That's Jerome Ford, and if his name sounds familiar, he is an Alabama transfer. 42 yards to open the scoring late first half. Tied at 10 now, Desmond Ridder lets it fly to Alec Pierce, 36-yard touchdown. Now the Golden Hurricane are ranked. It took a game-winning field goal from the Bearcats. They do survive. They win by 3, 27-24, the final score there. Cincinnati finishes 9-0. So does that mean that Cincy has a chance to make that college football playoff as we bring Simone Eli back in? Let's talk about this playoff because Selection Sunday is tomorrow. You see some of the teams in the hunt. Your thoughts right now on the playoff?
Right now, I think it's Texas A&M that needs to be in this top 4 conversation. I think Notre Dame laid an egg against Clemson. I don't mind if Notre Dame gets pushed out of the conversation. What I do mind is this, okay? Ohio State's going to be in the top 4 because right here, because of money, all right? But at the end of the day, they played 6 games. The Big Ten changed the rules to put them in the title game. They'll be in the top 4, but do they deserve it?
Let me defend Ohio State for a second. They've got 2 top 15 wins, one against Indiana, one against Northwestern, which we saw today. Texas A&M doesn't have a great win, okay? They did beat Florida. It was at home. I think Kyle Field had more fans than any stadium has had at any point this entire season. Plus, Ohio State has 6 wins. Texas A&M has 8, all right? So I know you can say they only played half a season, but they only have 2 fewer wins than A&M. And we already saw this, Simone. We already saw Alabama A&M, and we know what happened. So do we want that again?
So if we're talking Texas A&M and Notre Dame, then strength of schedule goes in the favor of the Aggies. So what do you like there?
I'm not sure about that because Miami's okay. North Carolina's pretty good in the ACC. This is not a joke of a conference like it has been for the past few years. And Notre Dame, listen, I know Trevor Lawrence didn't play. DJ Uiagalelei had almost 450 yards in that game. So it wasn't the passing game that's why they lost that game.
A minute ago, we just watched the highlights of Cincinnati. They're 9-0, conference titles. I mean, if there's a year that you're going to put in a group of 5 team, 2020 has got to be it. We've thrown the script out and everything else.
Right, because we think about what we're doing now. We're kind of haggling over Ohio State, Texas A&M. Just put Cincinnati in.
Cincinnati in. Might as well.
Give the little guy a chance.
Cincinnati, Bama. Semifinal. I'm good with it.
We'll see what happens. All right, still ahead. The top Heisman hopefuls in action today. Who made the best case to win that most prestigious award in college football? We go back out to Brees in Atlanta. He saw it live. We'll hear his thoughts next.
CBS 42 College Football Saturday Postgame, presented by Pepsi.
Well, the race for the Heisman Trophy took center stage on Championship Saturday. The 5 players with the top odds to win it, according to Vegas, all played today. Mac Jones and Kyle Trask were the favorites entering tonight, followed by Devontae Smith, Ian Book, and, of course, Trevor Lawrence. We're going to send it back out to Atlanta, where Chris Brees just saw a lot of these big names on center stage, and maybe another name added to the list. Brees, what do you make of this Heisman Trophy race going down to the wire?
Well, a lot of things. The fact that Najee Harris came on so late to make this thing kind of interesting for multiple reasons. Kind of like what Devontae Smith did about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Now, why is that a problem for Alabama in general? You got to think that both Smith and Harris are going to easily take votes away from Mac Jones, and Mac Jones could do the exact same thing to those guys. And look, all of them have fantastic stats. Smith, Harris, Jones all played great tonight. They played great every week. Kyle Trask also played great. So I think you really got to throw out the numbers of what everybody did and what is the reality of who people are going to vote for. You got to think that Mac Jones is probably the favorite in terms of getting votes for Alabama, but how many will be taken away from him and given ultimately to Kyle Trask because they didn't go to Mac Jones? Najee Harris is certainly going to be one of those guys. 4 touchdowns tonight. Are you kidding me? And 3 out of the backfield receiving. He was the player of the game, and it was not even close.
About passing me the ball, no, because we always had amazing receivers. I mean, like, look what we got now. I mean, like, there's no point for me to say, hey, throw me the ball if, like, we got all these weapons on the edge. So whenever my number's called to be in a passing play or a position, I try to make the most of it. And I guess it showed up tonight.
5 touchdowns for Najee Harris to stand corrected there. And Harris is one of those guys who, again, just like Devontae Smith, Simone and Drew, came out of nowhere. And so you look at all 3 of these guys, you got to realize that you got to go back to 1973, the last time 3 players on one team all got votes for the Heisman. It was Ohio State with Archie Griffin when he got 5th place. Of course, ended up winning the Heisman 2 different times. So we have no idea what to expect, and it might be Kyle Trask to win because of that.
Yeah, Brees, you're absolutely right. I don't know. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you who I think is going to win. All I'm going to tell you is that this trophy deserves to be in Tuscaloosa. I don't know who it should go to, but it deserves to be in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, they really shouldn't have to cannibalize each other's votes. Yeah. I think that's not fair. Maybe there should be an Alabama Heisman and then everyone else Heisman. But I think the one name we have to bring up here, and I'm not saying I think he should win it, but Trevor Lawrence is lurking. I mean, Kyle Trask lost. Okay, you can say no, but Trevor Lawrence is probably the best quarterback in college football. I mean, if he was in this Alabama offense, he'd be putting up huge numbers too.
Yeah.
So.
And well, listen, I mean, he was out for a few games because of COVID, and that's unfortunate. But at the end of the day, this award is given to someone with a very high stats. So numbers is something that a lot of the voters look at, especially if they're not voters that cover these guys very, very closely. So when you look at Kyle Trask or when you look at Mac Jones, their numbers are going to be better overall. Right. And of course, there's Devontae Smith. So do you just say, forget it, let's not give it to a quarterback, and let's just give it to Devontae Smith?
Well, that's my pick. I mean, you asked me during the break who you're going to say, and I just said Smith. I mean, I think it's pretty clear at this point, Simone. I think he's pretty obviously the best player in college football at this point. You know, he's actually had multiple touchdowns in each of Alabama's last 5 games. Multiple touchdowns in 5 games in a row. That is hard to do. And in a couple of those, he had 4 or 3. I mean, this is a guy who also scores in punt returns, too. Give him the trophy.
Yeah. Well, lots more to digest here on the post-game show, but still ahead, we are going to go to the Twitter mailbag, one of my favorite segments this entire season. Lots to break down from this SEC title game between Alabama and Florida. Stay with us.
You're watching CBS 42 College Football Saturday Postgame, presented by Pepsi.
And it's time to reach deep into the Twitter mailbag. It takes us to Kayla Pace. She says, it's crazy to think that even within the last 24 hours, I truly believed that this football season might end with a non-boring championship. But we're really back in talking about Alabama and Clemson. Obviously, we've seen an Alabama-Clemson matchup quite a bit. Does it make college football boring?
Simone, let's keep it here because I've got some thoughts, all right?
Okay.
Kayla, you seem like a really nice person, but no complaining allowed in 2020, all right, for several reasons. Number one, who doesn't want to watch Alabama and Clemson match up again? I mean, these are clearly, I think at this point, the two best teams in college football, and I don't think anyone else would really give them a challenge. Maybe Ohio State, I'm not sure. But the second aspect of this is you could put East-West roast beef Tech State out there against anyone. I just want to see a championship.
Sure. I mean, can we bring Brees in now? Because Brees has seen this matchup quite a bit. Alabama, Clemson, you've seen it in Tampa, you saw it over in California. Brees, does this make college football boring?
Well, I'm not Nostradamus, but I can tell you, in my opinion, it's going to be Alabama and Clemson. And when you think of those two teams, Bama's won 2 national titles in the college football playoff era. Everybody thinks about 2018, but there's one reason why Bama fans can be more positive about this year. This defense is nothing like 2018 was. Trevor Lawrence is still there. They're going to score a lot of points. If you're Alabama, guys, I think they learned something tonight in the game against Florida. Florida gave them everything they had. It's going to be a lot like if they play Ohio State, if they play Clemson, there's going to be a lot of points. And Alabama answered that bell every single time Florida scored a touchdown. They came back and they iced the game, exactly what they're going to need to do a few weeks from now in the playoff.
Yeah, Alabama got a real test tonight, and Nick Saban even said that post-game it's good for us to get a challenge in a dogfight like this. All right, Auburn's coaching search continues. Seems like every day there is a new piece of info. The latest is that Steve Sarkisian will reportedly interview for the job tomorrow. So we go back to Twitter where Tyler Morgan says, if Coach Sarkisian goes down to Auburn to interview, I hope Greg Byrne doesn't let him come back. Uh-oh. We're not done, and we've been very good to him. Coach Saban deserves more respect. So, Simone, what say you?
Listen, no disrespect to Mr. Tyler Morgan here, but Steve Sarkisian is a football coach, and this is his career. The guy makes $2.5 million a year. That's incredible money, with the highest paid assistant coach in the country. But the opportunity to go be a head coach again, you have to at least look at it. To go get like a $5 million raise, you have to at least look at it. Now, I know with the rivalry, this is like unprecedented territory here, but Bama fans can't be mad about it that he's flirting over on the Plains a little bit. I mean, nothing's a done deal.
Yeah, you can get $5 million extra. You can be the boss. I mean, we've heard Lane Kiffin actually say in the past, too, that it's not fun working for Nick Saban. Even if you're winning championships, sometimes it can be very stressful. And maybe for Steve Sarkisian, he's ready to be done with that. Let's go back out to Chris Brees in Atlanta. Let's talk about Steve Sarkisian interviewing for that Auburn gig tomorrow. Chris, what do you think?
Well, it's something that Alabama's dealt with every single year, Drew. Kirby Smart, Jeremy Pruitt, Butch Jones is doing it now. Every year, Alabama has a distraction. Lane Kiffin a couple of years ago. Nick Saban is so used to this. Let's say Steve Sarkisian goes to Auburn or he goes somewhere else. That's going to mean absolutely nothing to this team. They know how to prepare. They know how to put that in the back of their mind and not worry about it at all. Let's say Steve Sarkisian goes to Auburn in 2 weeks. Alabama's going to be fine, and you know what? It is going to be a lot of fun, if that does happen, to watch this Iron Bowl and how these two offenses go at each other. You saw the game tonight. Imagine Alabama and Auburn doing that in the future. I'd say everyone's saying, yes, please.
I would sign up for that for sure. And by the way, I don't think Sark was distracted tonight. Another 50-burger for Alabama's offense. All right, coming up, a roller coaster season for the UAB Blazers that saw them go 42 consecutive days without playing a game, ends with back-to-back wins. We've got highlights as they go for another Conference USA championship.
You're watching CBS 42 College Football Saturday Postgame, presented by Pepsi.
UAB football in the Conference USA title game last night, and for the third straight season, they'd have to try to win it on the road this year in West Virginia against Marshall. Blazers take an early 3-0 lead. Then in the second quarter is Tyler Johnston over the top to Hayden Pittman. He's in from 19 yards out. UAB takes a 9-0 lead into the half. Marshall had 0 first half passing yards. In the third, the Herd get things going. Grant Wells connects with Artie Henry, and it's 9-7. Later, Blazers added a couple of field goals before the play of the game. Johnston floats it to Trey Shropshire, breaks loose from an obvious defensive pass interference, makes the catch. It's a foot race to the end zone, and the Blazers get the touchdown. They also get the win. They are your Conference USA champs. Bill Clark's UAB team has done it again, 22-13 the final over Marshall.
Just so proud of this group of guys, the coaches behind them, what they've gone through, the ups and the downs, and they never quit believing. They kept working. Just so proud of them. What a great night they had, and they played so well tonight against a great Marshall team.
And the Blazers become the first Conference USA team in history to win both of their league titles in road games. And I just don't think you can overstate how impressive it is what Bill Clark has done here in Birmingham with this UAB program that came from literally the dead to come back and do what he's done in the last few years.
Right. They haven't had a losing season since they came back. I mean, you're right, Simone. The program was dormant. It was dormant. I mean, how difficult must that be for Bill Clark? And I think that segues nicely into something we have to address at this point with UAB, which is the Bill Clark speculation at Auburn. We talked about Sark potentially interviewing there tomorrow. Clark is an obvious name. He's an Alabama guy. He's had a lot of success at UAB. But he did mention something I found interesting, which is that this is not a normal group of 5 job. He had a chance to build this basically from the ground up, and he is an Alabama guy, so maybe he's more keen to stay at UAB.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's only a matter of time before he is in a Power 5 school doing incredible things there. So hats off to Bill Clark and to UAB. Of course, we're always cheering from you here in Birmingham. All right, we're wrapping things up in Atlanta, the SEC championship game. Looking ahead to tomorrow's college football playoffs. Here's a live look at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. They're already turning the tide here, turning the page, if you will, to get ready for the Falcons game. Quite a few former Alabama stars on that team as well. We'll go up to Chris Brees coming up after the break. Stay with us.
You're watching CBS 42 College Football Saturday Postgame, presented by Pepsi.
It's officially after midnight, which means we can say the College Football Playoff Selection Committee will make their picks today, 11 a.m. Central Time. Here is the bowl layout, the New Year's Six Bowls. Of course, the Rose Bowl will not be played in Pasadena. That will be in Dallas. We're not sure what it will be called. The other semifinal will be New Orleans, the Sugar Bowl. That is where we expect Alabama to go as number 1 tomorrow morning. Now, who's going to be number 2? You got to think Clemson's going to be 2 after they beat Notre Dame handedly tonight. Number 3, 4, and 5 could go anywhere. The 3 objective teams, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Texas A&M. You got to think that Ohio State will probably get that 3rd spot. Notre Dame likely, I'll probably disagree with Simone Eli here. Notre Dame, I think, will get that 4th spot ahead of Texas A&M solely because they already beat Clemson this year, and that is what the playoff will hang their hats on with all of this. But we're going to wait and see and find out today, 11 a.m., who Alabama's going to play, where they're going to play on January 1st in the semifinal. For Drew Carter and Simone Eli, I'm Chris Brees here in Atlanta. So long. Thank you for watching College Football Saturday.